Hello, church. How you doing? If you have your Bibles, grab Matthew chapter 13. Matthew chapter 13, we'll be starting in verse 24. We're going to focus on the parable of the weeds and the wheat, also known as the wheat and the tares, or some kind of combination of a good plant and a bad plant. So this is the parable that is next in the series of parables that we're looking at. If you remember, we're in chapter 13. This is part of the discourse that Jesus, part of his third discourse that he's been given. And they really reflect on why some people come to him, why some people leave him, why he goes out, why he does the things that he does. And they each parable really talks about the kingdom. Each phrase says, the kingdom of heaven may be compared to a man who sowed good seed on his field. Or the sower went out to sow, and the kingdom is like that. Or the kingdom of heaven is like a grain of mustard seed. Or the kingdom of heaven is like the leaven a woman took. Or like over and over again, the kingdom of heaven is like. And that's what we kind of need to understand with these parables. That's making an analogy, a parable. It's making a way that we can understand the kingdom in our finite minds with the things that surround us, fields and farmers and treasures and that kind of stuff. So that's what the purpose of the parable is. The first parable we looked at was the parable of the sower, or the parable of the soils. Jesus calls it the parable of the sower, and I think that is to introduce what the disciples should expect. When they go out, they sow the seed. It's not going to be 100% plentiful. Some will go on stony ground, some will go on the path itself, some will go on thorns, but some will also go into good soil, and it will produce 30 and 60, 100-fold produce from that. So there is that. This story kind of goes into a little bit different direction. I think that people had this idea there was going to be a great change. There was going to be a great division, that people were suddenly going to be part of the kingdom, and then other people were not going to be part of the kingdom, and you could clearly see who is who. But what Jesus is saying through this parable is that there's going to be there's not going to be this stark difference. I think often when people heard what he said earlier, with father turning against son, and son against mother, and daughter against parents, and sister versus sister, all of that kind of stuff, people were thinking, oh, this is going to be a major division. You'll clearly see who it is. But if you look around, and even today, there's not a whole lot of outward signs that you can tell, okay, this person is in the kingdom and this person is not. Right? We all have 10 fingers and 10 toes, and we talk in English and all that kind of stuff. We kind of look kind of similar, and that is what this tares and this wheat represent. We all kind of look similar, but what comes out of it, it's going to be different. The fruit of each person is going to be different, and that's what you're going to be judged by. So let's look at this in two sections. The first is 24 through 30. The second is 36 through 43. And so the first part, we'll kind of set up the parable, kind of go into some details about the agriculture of the time period. The second half, we'll break it down and how that applies to us in our Christian walk. Okay, so verse 24. He put another parable before them, saying, the kingdom of heaven may be compared to a man who sowed good seed in his field. But while his men were sleeping, his enemy came and sowed weeds among the wheat and went away. And so when the plants came up and bore grain, then the weeds appeared also. And the servants of the master of the house came in and said to him, Master, did you not sow good seed in your field? How then does it have weeds? He said to him, an enemy has come and done this. So the servant said to him, then do you want us to go and gather them? And then he said, no, lest gathering the weeds root up the wheat along with them. Let both grow together until the harvest. In harvest time, I will tell the reapers, gather the weeds first, bind them in bundles to be burned, but gather the weeds into my barn. Okay, so some little interesting things about this and kind of agriculture of the area. The weeds or the tares, as sometimes said, this weed is probably called darnel. It was kind of almost indistinguishable from wheat, especially in the early stages of growth. When they're still both green and they're still both kind of coming up, it looks wheat and darnel, the tares look very much the same, but they have very different outcomes. The wheat is, of course, what kind of helps you make bread, is a source of the bread, while the darnel would cause bitterness, dizziness, and trouble sleeping, and even vomiting, and potentially death. And it was even against Roman law to go sow darnel into another man's wheat field, even if you were bitter enemies, because it doesn't just affect him. The things that he sold would affect the marketplace, and it would just kind of grow from there. And then they would collect the seeds, and some of the darnel seeds would be in the wheat seeds. You can see how this thing would just kind of fester and grow. And so it was against the law of Roman law, and it was a horrible thing that you could do. And you could not tell the difference between the two. I actually have a picture here. They're very similar, as you can tell. They're very, and this is in the late stage where it's more dissimilar, but the wheat and the darnel are different. The difference is in the fruit and what the fruit does to them. Wheat, as you can tell, they bow over when they get full, when they get their head of their grain kind of comes out, they bow over. But the tares, the darnel, they stand tall, and that's how you can kind of look at the difference, and that's how you can distinguish the difference. One bows over, and the other one stands tall. And so, and one also is kind of a little bit blackish, dark brown, and the other one turns a little bit of a golden brown, that good wheat look. So that's kind of some of the differences between the two. You cannot tear up one without the other, especially while they're young, because they're indistinguishable, and it would also hurt the root system. But if you wait until harvest and you first take out all the darnel, all the ones that are standing up tall, and then you take out the wheat, you can put the wheat in your barn, and then you can put the tares and the darnel into the fire, which is done, because it's no good, it's worthless. You don't want it anywhere near your wheat. You don't want it anywhere near your good thing. Okay, so the disciples then come to him, and this is the second part, and ask for explanation. So verse 36, then he left the crowd and went into in the house, and his disciples came to him. Explain to us the parable of the weeds of the field. And he answered, the one who sows the good seed is the Son of Man. The field is the world, and the good seed is the Son of the kingdom. The weeds are the sons of the evil one, and the enemy who sowed them is the devil. The harvest is the end of the age, and the reapers are the angels. Okay, stop there. So this kind of gives you a lexicon of what each thing is represented of. So first is the one who seeds the good seed is the Son of Man. So it's Jesus. Jesus is sowing good seed, and the field is the world. Now there's some kind of debate about this, because in verse 41 he talks about they will gather out of his kingdom all causes of sin and lawbreakers. So he refers to the field as his kingdom, which led to some people referring to it as the church. So they think this parable specifically relates to the church, that he's going to distinguish those who are in the church, who are really bad, and those really good. I don't agree with this for a couple of reasons. One, it goes completely contradictory to what he says in verse 38, the field is the world, not the church. And two is, I think this is a assumption that people have in the past, that the kingdom is equal to the church. That is not the case. The church is part of his kingdom, but not all. The church does not make up all the kingdom. His kingdom is much broader. It has a lot more energy with it. It covers a lot more. And so that's not one-to-one comparison. So if you hear that in the past, that's my thought, is it's not the world. The field is the world, and the good seed is the sons of the kingdom. So the seed. So Jesus is spreading spreading the seed, which is his disciples, and the apostles, whoever they convert, and all them. It's growing. It's growing like that. So we're the seed in this parable, and um, and the weeds are the son of the evil one. So the seeds that the evil one sows are the people that are going against us, the people that are going against Christ, the kingdom. I mean, you could think of even powerful people like Nero, they would be sons of the evil one. The Pharisees, the Jewish leaders, anyone who opposes God's kingdom, they would be the sons of the evil one. Now, many times they would look like they would look like the sons of man, the seed, the other seed. That's because it's very similar sometimes. The Pharisees looked really righteous. The chief priests and leaders, they look like to be really righteous. In fact, in Revelation, it says that the Roman government, which was one of the beasts, would make themselves look like the beast that Jesus is. And they would make him come back to life, which is what some people thought about the emperors. So they look like they were the good ones, that they were very almost indistinguishable, but their fruit and what they were is different. And so at the end of the harvest, when they revealed who they are, the reapers are the angels. Angels are often in judgment scenes where they help God bring judgment, separate the sheep and the goats. They bring judgment to everyone. Okay. And then he kind of explains what this all means. He kind of gives a lexicon of what each thing means, and then he explains it. Verse 40. Just as the weeds are gathered and burned with fire, so it will be at the end of the age. So just as the weeds are gathered with burned with fire, so will the evil one, the sons of the evil one, be gathered and burned with fire. Verse 41. Then the Son of Man will send his angels, and they will gather out his kingdom, all causes of sin, all lawbreakers. So he's going to send out angels, and he's going to take care of all that. He's going to throw them in the fiery furnace. That is the place where there will be weeping and gnashing of teeth. So all the bad ones, all the ones who oppose the kingdom, they will be plucked out. They will be plucked out, and they will be set into what we know as hell, where there's weeping and gnashing of teeth, where it's a bitter, bitter place. But for the good ones, verse 33, then the righteous one will shine like the sun in the kingdom of the Father. He who has ears, let him hear. So once all the darnel, the tares are taken out, then the wheat can truly shine, because that's all that is left. And the fruit of that person's labor, all these seeds, the fruit of that labor will shine, and it will be like the sun in the kingdom of the Father, and be with the Father forever. And then at the end, he uses a standard phrase, he who has ears, let him hear. So if you really want to pay attention, and this goes back to what he mentioned in Isaiah, that they had ears, but they didn't really hear. They didn't want to hear. They had eyes that didn't want to see. They had a heart that didn't want to be open to the word. So if you have ears, let him hear, let him change, let him be like the good people. Okay. So that's the parable. Okay, what are some lessons for us? I'm going to suggest 3 lessons that we can learn from this parable. One is God allowed the wicked for a time. God allows the wicked to be a part of us, to be in this world with us for a time period. A lot of people say, why doesn't God come? There's so much evil. There's so much wickedness. There's so many bad things happening. Why doesn't God come? And if he's really all powerful, why doesn't he take it and he make it all right? Why doesn't he do that? And right now he's saying, Jesus is explaining in this parable that he doesn't do that. That's not how it's going to happen. He's allowing the wicked to be here for a time to enjoy the blessings that we all receive, the sun and the physical blessings that we all receive from God for a time. But one day there will be judgment. And The tares will be rooted up and cast in the fire, and the wheat, the good seed, the good ground, the good plant will be with the Father in heaven. That's how it's going to work. There's not going to be this kind of new world order where you can clearly tell who is the wheat, who's the tares. It's not going to be like that. That's what many of the Jewish people expected Jesus to bring, but that's not what happened. Number two, the second lesson that we can learn is you will know by their fruit. The wicked, the sons of the evil one, and the sons of the Son of Man are going to look a lot alike in a lot of different ways. They're going to start out looking the same. We all are born into this world the same. We all have, the same basic stuff. We all need to eat. We all need to sleep. We all need to go to the bathroom, and we'll die one day. We all have the same basic things. And in the beginning, we look a lot the same. But how you'll tell who is the son of the evil one, who is the Son of Man, is by their fruit and how they carry themselves. Will they stand tall and not be humble and be arrogant like the darnel, or will they be humility? They will have fruit, but they will bow under the servitude of the Father. Which one are you going to be? And that's what he's telling his readers. Which one are you going to be? Are you going to be proud where you don't think you need anyone? And this refers back to the cities that he chastised, where Jesus was literally in their midst and he did miracles, and yet they're like, nah, I don't want to change my life. Or the Pharisees, in which they should have known the Messiah and they see multiple miracles as well, and yet they're high and they're haughty, and they say, I can't believe you heal someone on the Sabbath, totally missing the sign that he performed. Those are the darnel. And we need to make sure we're not haughty. We are not stuck up. We are humble, and we need to bear fruit as well. We need to bear fruit of righteousness. That's how you will tell the sons of the Son of Man and the sons of the evil one. It's what fruit do they bear? Is it good fruit? Is it bad fruit? Is it fruit of selfishness? Or is it fruit for the king? Which one are you? What fruit are you bearing? If you look at your life, are you producing things for your selfish gain, or for the evil one, or for the world and materialism? Or are you producing fruit for the kingdom, bringing others to Christ? When they look at you, they see an example of Christ. They see someone of the Holy One, being holy and like he should be. Which do they see? And then finally, people will look similar for a time, but in the end, there will be judgment. And we need to not lose hope. It's really easy for a time when we are side by side. There's one plant here and one plant there, and they both grow. And this one is the son of the evil one, and this one's the son of a righteous one. And he does what is righteous, and he keeps doing what's evil. He keeps doing what's righteous, and he keeps doing what's evil. And it seems like there's no justice. There's no justice whatever, because they both seem to grow. And even though this one has the good fruit, and this one would make the world sick, no one tears up this one. And this one still has to go, even though it has to endure a lot of pain to get there. But at the end, when they both make it, they make their full life, and they come and they show their fruit at the end of their journey, there will be judgment, but there will also be reward. There'll be judgment on the tares, but there will be a reward for everyone who stands firm. So it's not just a warning to those who are the wicked that there will be judgment, but it's a message of hope for those who stand forward, for those who are righteous. And so I would encourage you, if you're feeling weary, if you're feeling down, if you feel downtrodden by this life right now, just put your hope that even though it seems like those who are wicked don't get the justice that they deserve, though it seems like the righteous don't get the justice they deserve, one day God will make it all right. And that's what he's always promised, is that at the end of time, at Judgment Day, he will make it all right. So hopefully you can take that. You can take that with you the rest of your week. Let's go ahead and pray for everything that's going on, and help us to be these kind of people. Let's end our time in prayer. Dear Heavenly Father, thank you for this wonderful day you've given us, this day that we have to be part of your people, to be part of your righteous ones. We know that this world is horrible, and that at times we cry out, where's justice? But we know at the end of the time that you will set everything right. You'll set everything correct. We know that you are a just God, and that you show justice on your righteous people, and you give grace to us that really need grace. And one of the greatest things that you ever done was send your son to die on the cross so that he could teach us how to live our life, and then teach us how to have the kind of spirit of love and service that we need to have for others. Help us to constantly be more like him and grow to serve them. Help us to try to influence the world for good and produce good things in our life. I was praying in your son's name. Amen. I hope you have a wonderful day. I hope everything's going well with you. If you need something or need spiritual help, just reach out and I'll be glad to help you. Be a part of the wheat. Do not be the tares. For the tares will receive judgment, but the righteous will see grace in the kingdom of Father forever. Be part of the wheat.